Welcome back. It's time for another book talk video, and it's Sunday, which means Science Fiction Sunday. I talked in a tag video about John Scalzi's book, Redshirts, and some people said they wanted to hear more about it, which is awesome. That's Redshirts with no space. One word, Redshirts, by John Scalzi. In the tag video, I was somewhat critical of this book. Let me go into detail. The reason that I was somewhat let down by this book involves me talking about one spoiler, but I believe by giving you this one spoiler, it will help you appreciate the book and enjoy it because you'll know what you're getting into. I know I normally do spoiler-free videos, but this one, I need that one spoiler. Just please allow me that. It'll be in good context. I don't think it'll ruin the book for you. I think it'll make the book all the more enjoyable. This book is called Redshirts. The cover looks like it's a Star Trek red shirt. The author, John Scalzi, has written books that I love. I've read the entire Old Man's War series and really enjoyed those books. He's also written the Collapsing Empire trilogy. I read those books after this one, but I really love those books too. This is the only book by him that I've read that I was like, I don't know. But I still ended up ultimately giving it 4 out of 5 stars because what it does well. I just wasn't in the mood for it. It wasn't what I wanted out of the book. I thought that John Scalzi was playing with the tropes from Star Trek. Since Star Trek is not a property that he owns and can write books in the set universe, he just created his own universe that was very similar, had a different name for a ship, with the same kind of crew and ranking going on space adventures. And so I just thought it was kind of going to be a lower decks experience, like that episode of Star Trek, or now the animated series for Star Trek Lower Decks, that was going to involve the lower ranking crew members and how they deal with the big personalities, the big egos of those characters who are basically the stars of the series, the captain and the chief officers of the different divisions. But no, that's not really what this book was. That stuff is in the book, but what John Scalzi did that I didn't enjoy, and here's the spoiler, is the main character, who's an ensign, redshirt character. He realizes when he comes aboard the ship and is assigned to it that the other low-ranking crew members on the ship are all scared to go on away missions, and it's because he realizes they're living in a reality that is controlled by someone in another universe, multiverse reality, who is writing their lives as TV show episodes. And I was not in the mood for that. I didn't want it to get meta like that. I didn't want it to be basically, that we're all living in a simulation, but it's a TV series. And what's fascinating, though, which somewhat turned me around and caused me to enjoy the book more, is one, it's really a comedy, and there are a lot of funny moments, and I appreciate those funny moments, which helps it to get that higher star rating. And two, the character having this self-awareness in a meta Deadpool sort of way allows him to try to use the science and technology of the universe to try to communicate with that other reality, with the actual people who create the TV series, and try to, I guess you could say, fix things. It's just, at the point that I read the book, I wasn't really interested in that meta-reality stuff, and I didn't want another time travel, going to an alternate reality book. If you've read Dark Matter by Blake Crouch, sometimes that can seem a little overdone. The tropiness of it can get to you. But the good news is John Scalzi treats it as a comedy. So while those elements somewhat annoyed me, I wasn't in the mood for them, ultimately it is a fun trip. It is a fun ride as you get to laugh at a lot of the jokes and the things that happen, making fun of those kind of Star Trek TV shows. So ultimately, I still end up recommending the book. It's very different from the other works by John Scalzi. It was not what I expected it to be. But I bet you, as a reader, going into the book, knowing you're going to have this meta-reality, potential time travel, alternate reality kind of mission going on, that you might enjoy the book more just because you understand that going into it. And also, why am I complaining about this concept? I just wasn't in the mood for it. Clearly, I've read books that have a similar sort of concept. In the Bewilderness series by Ben Reeves, which I praise as such awesome, awesome storytelling, the main character is anchored in reality and travels into what is essentially a fairy plane interacting with weird creatures. But that feels more like fantasy than it does science fiction. John Scalzi has rooted this in science fiction. But it would be like you go to watch the next big Avengers movie and and Iron Man goes, "Oh, I've realized we're just characters in a movie series, and we want to try and escape it and fix our lives so that they're better." Which would have been very different than what we got in Endgame. And I was worried going into the Avengers Endgame movie because I knew it would involve some sort of time travel or going to an alternate reality to try to fix things. And those just aren't necessarily my favorite kind of stories. The authors have to work really hard to overcome the fact that I'm not really in the mood for that. And in this case, in the end, either John Scalzi ultimately did that, or I'm somewhat biased because he's one of my favorite authors, and so out of bias, I might have bumped up what really felt like just a 3-star book to me up to a 4-star rating, understanding that what he was doing in the book, he did it well, and he made me laugh along the way. So that's my book talk for today. Ultimately, I still recommend the book Redshirts, one word, by John Scalzi. Every day is a good day for book talk. Peace.